Marcus Kane spent 12 years as a backcountry ranger in the Cascades, but nothing prepared him for Tower 7, the post nobody wanted because 3 rangers quit without explanation. On his 7th night, something climbed his ladder at 3 a.m., leaving wet handprints that evaporated in seconds. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The fluorescent lights in the Cascade Valley Ranger Station flickered as Marcus Kane signed his transfer papers. Chief Ranger Ellen Briggs sat across from him, her coffee untouched, fingers drumming against a manila folder she hadn't opened yet. "Tower 7, she said finally. "You sure about this?" Marcus nodded. After the divorce, after 18 months of Jennifer's lawyer dissecting every decision he'd ever made, solitude sounded like paradise. 12 years in backcountry. I've handled worse than a lonely fire tower. Briggs opened the folder. 3 personnel files lay inside, each stamped with red ink. Marcus caught the words, "Reassignment requested," before she flipped them face down. "How long was the tower vacant?" he asked. 6 weeks. We've had trouble keeping it staffed." Trouble meaning what? She chose her words carefully. Equipment malfunctions, radio inconsistencies, rangers reported feeling isolated. It's a fire tower 40 miles from the nearest road. Isolation's the job. "This is different." Briggs pushed an equipment checklist across the desk. Half the items were crossed out in red. "Solar panels are temperamental. Backup radio is older than you are." "I'll manage." She studied him for a long moment. The last ranger, Davidson, he lasted 8 days, left most of his personal gear behind, just grabbed his pack and hiked out in the middle of his shift. Marcus had worked with Davidson 2 years ago. Solid guy, unshakable. He say why? Said the isolation got to him. Briggs pulled out a logbook, its pages wrinkled like they'd gotten wet. His entries are standard until day 6, then they get sparse. She opened it to the final page. Davidson's handwriting had deteriorated into jagged scrawls. The last entry read, "Can't do another night. Something's wrong with this place." "Sounds like cabin fever," Marcus said. "Maybe." Briggs closed the logbook. 3 rangers in 18 months have requested immediate reassignment from Tower 7. Refusing this post could affect your placement options. Translation: take it or find another career. Marcus had seen the budget reports. The service was cutting positions. "When do I leave?" "Tomorrow morning." She handed him a map marked with the trail route. 18 miles from the trailhead. Trails overgrown past mile 14. Towers at the summit, elevation 7,200 feet. Marcus studied the map. Tower 7 sat isolated even by backcountry standards, surrounded by dense forest on 3 sides and a steep drop on the 4th. 2-week rotation, Briggs continued. Radio check-in daily at 0600 and 1800 hours. Emergency beacon if you need extraction, but weather can delay response up to 72 hours. She pulled out an old Motorola radio, its casing cracked and repaired with electrical tape. Backup unit. Primary radio at the tower works most of the time. Most of the time. Static issues, especially at night. She met his eyes. "Marcus, if you feel like something's off up there, trust your gut. Request extraction. No shame in it." He took the radio. "I'll be fine." Walking to his truck, Marcus noticed the mechanic, old Jerry, watching from the garage bay. "Tower 7, huh?" Jerry said. "That's right. Radio never works quite right up there. Something about the elevation, the rock composition." Briggs mentioned that. Jerry wiped his hands on a rag. "You hear anything weird, don't ignore it. Last guy did, and he came back different. Quit the service a month later." Marcus tossed his pack in the truck bed. Everyone had an opinion about Tower 7. By tomorrow night, he'd see for himself. Marcus started hiking at dawn. The trail followed Cascade Creek for the first 6 miles, well-maintained and marked with fresh blazes. He carried 50 pounds of gear, 2 weeks of freeze-dried meals, water purification tablets, first aid kit, weather instruments, and enough batteries to power a small city. By mile 8, his shirt stuck to his back with sweat. The trail climbed steeper, switchbacking through old-growth Douglas fir. He'd hiked this range dozens of times, knew the rhythm. Breathe in for 3 steps, out for 3. At mile 12, he stopped for water. The trail markers became sporadic here. Some faded to illegibility, others missing entirely. He checked his GPS unit. Still 4 miles to Tower 7, elevation gain of 1,800 feet. The trail narrowed past mile 14. Salal and huckleberry bushes crowded the path, untrimmed. He had to push through in places, branches scraping his arms. Budget cuts meant maintenance crews stayed close to popular trails. He found the first piece of abandoned gear at mile 15. A sleeping pad, still in decent condition, half buried under fallen needles. No tears, no damage. Someone had just left it. Quarter mile later, a camp stove, fuel canister still attached. Then a stuff sack containing spare clothes neatly folded. Marcus pulled out his radio. "Base, this is Kane. I'm finding abandoned equipment on the trail. Looks recent." Static crackled back. Briggs' voice cut in and out. "Davidson's gear, trail was, didn't want to. Say again, Base. You're breaking up." More static, then nothing. Marcus tried twice more before giving up. He pocketed the radio and kept climbing. The trees thinned as he approached the summit. Through gaps in the canopy, he caught his first glimpse of Tower 7. The structure rose 100 feet above the ridgeline. Metal framework painted Forest Service brown. Glass-enclosed cabin at the top, reflecting afternoon sun. At the base, Marcus dropped his pack and circled the tower. The ladder rungs showed heavy wear, metal polished smooth in spots despite the tower's remote location. Strange for a post that supposedly nobody wanted. He ran his hand along one rung. Not rust, not corrosion, just worn. He looked up. The ladder stretched above him, swaying slightly in the wind. His calves already burned from the hike, and now he had a 100-foot vertical climb with a 50-pound pack. Marcus double-checked his pack straps and started up. The ladder creaked under his weight but held solid. He climbed steadily, not looking down, focusing on the next rung. Hand, foot, 30 feet up, the wind picked up. The tower swayed just enough to feel. 60 feet, and he could see for miles. Dense forest below, mountain peaks rising in the distance. At 90 feet, he noticed something odd. Several rungs were slick, like they'd been recently wet. But it hadn't rained in 3 days. He wiped his palm on his pants and kept climbing. The platform at the top was small, barely 6 feet square, with the cabin door facing east. Marcus hauled himself up, breathing hard, and looked back down the ladder. From up here, the forest seemed endless. 40 miles to the nearest road. No cell service, just him and the radio. He smiled, perfect. The cabin was 12 feet square with windows on all 4 sides and a trap door in the center that opened onto the ladder. Marcus dropped his pack and took inventory. Single bed against the west wall. Desk with weather instruments and the primary radio. Propane stove. Metal cabinet for supplies. Kerosene lamp hanging from the ceiling. He tried the radio first. "Base, this is Tower 7. Arrived on station, checking in." Static, then Briggs's voice, clearer now. "Copy that, Tower 7. How's it look up there?" "Functional. Solar panels working." "Should be. Check the battery gauge." Marcus found it near the door. Needle pointed to 3/4 charge. "Shows 75%. Good. Weather forecast is clear for the next 5 days. We'll do regular check-ins at 0600 and 1800. You need anything, call it in." "Roger that." He hesitated. "Base, I found gear on the trail. Sleeping pad, stove, clothes, all abandoned." A pause. "That was Davidson's. He said he needed to move fast. We'll send a crew to collect it eventually." Fast enough to leave a $200 stove behind. Marcus let it drop. "Understood. Tower 7 out." He spent the next hour settling in. The previous occupant had left in a hurry. A half-eaten granola bar sat on the desk. A razor and toothbrush in the small bathroom alcove. 3 books stacked by the bed, bookmark on page 114. The logbook lay open on the desk. Marcus flipped back through entries. Davidson's handwriting started neat and regular. Day 1 through 5 showed standard observations. Weather conditions, visibility range, no smoke spotted. Day 6, the entries got shorter. Day 7, just 2 words. Extremely tired. Day 8 was blank except for a single line at the bottom. Can't stay. Marcus pulled out a fresh pencil and made his first entry. Day 1. Arrived 15:30 hours. Clear skies. Visibility 40+ miles. All systems functional. No issues to report. The sun was setting, painting the cabin in orange light. He heated water and made coffee, strong and black. From the west window, he watched shadows creep across the valley below. The isolation felt good. No phone calls from Jennifer's lawyer. No forced small talk with co-workers who'd heard about the divorce. Just quiet. He ate a freeze-dried meal and checked the weather instruments on the exterior platform. Barometric pressure steady, temperature dropping as night fell. Wind 5 to 10 miles per hour from the northwest. Back inside, he organized his gear, hung his clothes on wall hooks, arranged his food supplies. Everything in its place. Control over his environment. That's all he'd wanted for the past 18 months. By 2,200 hours, exhaustion hit. 18 miles with a heavy pack, then a 100-foot climb. Marcus checked the trapdoor latch, secure, and pulled off his boots. The kerosene lamp cast flickering shadows across the cabin walls. He turned it down low and lay on the bed. Through the skylight above, stars were beginning to appear. Wind whispered against the windows. The tower creaked, settling into the night. Normal sounds. Marcus closed his eyes. He was asleep in minutes, never noticing the wet handprint on the inside of the trapdoor, or the way it slowly evaporated as the temperature dropped. Marcus jerked awake at 3 a.m. exactly. The cabin was pitch black, except for the dying glow of the kerosene lamp. His heart hammered against his ribs, that instant fight-or-flight surge that comes from deep sleep interrupted. He lay still, listening. The wind had stopped completely. Absolute silence pressed against the windows. Then he heard it, a metallic creak from below. Then another. Rhythmic, steady. Something was climbing the ladder. He rolled out of bed and grabbed his flashlight, moving to the trapdoor. The creaking continued, one rung at a time, getting closer, each sound perfectly spaced, like footsteps on stairs. Marcus pressed his ear against the trapdoor. The climbing sounds were directly below now, maybe 30 feet down. He flipped on the flashlight and yanked open the trapdoor. The beam cut down through darkness, illuminating the ladder stretching below. Empty. Nothing there. But the ladder was swaying slightly, metal framework groaning as if under weight. Marcus swept the light back and forth. No animals. No person. Nothing. The swaying stopped. The ladder went still. Marcus kept the light trained downward, waiting. His breath clouded in the suddenly cold air. When had the temperature dropped? He was about to close the trapdoor when he saw them. Handprints on the rungs, glistening wet in his flashlight beam. Big handprints. Fingers too long, spanning more than the width of the metal. They started about 40 feet down and came up rung by rung, stopping just 10 feet below the platform. Water dripped from the lowest print as he watched, but the higher prints were already drying, evaporating and fast forward. He counted to 10. By 7, the top prints had vanished completely, leaving the metal dry. Marcus blinked hard, exhaustion playing tricks. Had to be. He climbed down through the trapdoor onto the platform and examined the rungs up close. Bone dry, no moisture, no residue. The air smelled wrong, like ozone after a lightning strike, mixed with something organic. Wet earth, rotting leaves. He shone his light down the ladder's full length, empty forest below. A sound behind him made him spin around. Just the cabin door, blown open by sudden wind. But there hadn't been any wind a second ago. The forest was still dead silent. Marcus climbed back inside and closed both doors, latching them firmly. He checked his watch. 3:07 a.m. He sat at the desk and pulled out the logbook, hands shaking as he wrote. Day 1, 0300 hours. Woke to sounds resembling footsteps on ladder. Investigation revealed nothing. Possible thermal expansion of metal in cold air. No threat observed. The words looked rational on paper. Marcus read them twice, trying to believe them. Sleep wasn't coming back. Marcus made coffee and watched the darkness fade to gray as dawn approached. He told himself it was nothing. Altitude, exhaustion, new environment. But when the sun finally rose and he went out to check the weather instruments, he found a single wet handprint on the cabin's exterior wall. 5 feet from the platform edge. 5 feet from where the ladder ended. It evaporated as he stared at it. Gone in seconds like it had never existed at all. Marcus spent day 2 looking for explanations. He climbed down 20 feet to examine each rung in daylight. The metal was standard galvanized steel. No moisture, no slickness. He checked the cabin's water supply. The collection tank on the roof held 40 gallons. All connections were sealed tight. No leaks. No way for water to reach the exterior wall. The weather instruments gave him nothing useful. Humidity at 40%. No fog, no precipitation. Temperature had dropped to 38 degrees overnight, but that wouldn't explain water appearing and disappearing. By noon, Marcus had inspected every inch of the platform and found nothing out of place. He radioed base at 1800 hours. Tower 7 checking in. Clear skies, no smoke, all systems nominal. Copy that, Tower 7. How was your first night? Marcus hesitated. Quiet. Took some getting used to the tower sounds. They all creak. You'll stop noticing after a few days. Roger that. Tower 7 out. He spent the afternoon reading Davidson's logbook more carefully. The first 5 days were routine. Day 6 started normal, but the final entry read, 2200 hours. Thought I heard something on the ladder. Probably just settling metal. Day 7. Extremely tired, not sleeping well. Tower sounds different at night. Day 8 had only that single line, can't stay. Marcus flipped back through older entries. Most were standard, but he found notes from someone named Chen, 3 years ago. Night 4, heard climbing sounds at 0300. Investigated, found nothing. Night 5, same sounds, same time. Night 6, it reached the platform. Tomorrow I request transfer. The next entry was from a different ranger. Chen had left after 6 days. Marcus set up his camera on the desk, angled toward the trap door, and switched it to motion-activated recording. If something climbed that ladder tonight, he'd have proof. Sunset came early. By 1900 hours, darkness pressed against the windows. Marcus heated another freeze-dried meal and forced himself to eat. At 2200 hours, Marcus lay down, fully clothed, boots laced tight. The camera's red recording light blinked steadily. He'd positioned the kerosene lamp to provide enough light for the camera. His watch alarm beeped. He'd set it for 2:55 a.m. Marcus sat up and waited. The camera recorded silently. His flashlight lay across his lap. 2:59 a.m. The wind died. Silence fell. Marcus stood and moved to the trap door. Every muscle tense. 3 a.m. exactly. The first creak echoed from below. Then another. Steady, rhythmic, climbing. Marcus counted the creaks. 20 rungs. 30. 40. The climbing was slower tonight, more deliberate. He grabbed his flashlight but didn't open the trapdoor yet. The camera would catch whatever happened. 50 rungs. 60. Getting closer. 70 rungs. 80. Almost at the platform. Then the climbing stopped. Complete silence. Marcus waited, watching the trapdoor. The camera's red light blinked steadily. A new sound started. Breathing. Wet and labored, like someone who'd just run a marathon. It came from directly below the trapdoor. Deep inhales and ragged exhales. Not quite human. The rhythm was wrong. Marcus's hand tightened on the flashlight. The breathing continued for 30 seconds. A minute. The thing just sat there on the ladder breathing. Then it moved, not climbing. Shifting position. Metal creaked as weight redistributed. The breathing got closer, like something was pressing against the trapdoor from below. The latch rattled, just once. Testing. Marcus stepped back. His camera captured everything. The trapdoor still closed, the latch secure. But something was definitely there. The breathing filled the cabin now, impossibly loud for coming through solid metal. The chemical smell returned. Ozone and rot and wet earth. The temperature dropped so fast he could see his breath. The breathing stopped. Long silence. Marcus counted to 60. Nothing. Then the descent began. Slower than the ascent. Methodical, the thing was climbing back down. Marcus listened to every rung creak as the weight moved away. 20 rungs, 40, 60. When the sounds finally faded, Marcus opened the trap door. His flashlight beam cut down through frigid air. The ladder was empty, but the handprints were there again, wet and glistening, starting at the bottom and coming all the way up to the platform edge. He watched them evaporate, 45 seconds from visible to completely dry. The metal showed no residue. Marcus pulled back inside and checked the camera. The screen showed the cabin interior, the trapdoor closed throughout. He rewound to 3 a.m. and turned up the audio. The climbing sounds came through clearly, then the breathing, then the latch rattling. All of it captured, but the visual showed nothing, just him standing there, staring at a closed trapdoor. He saved the file and started a new recording. His hands were shaking as he wrote in the logbook, Day 2, 0300 hours. Auditory phenomena consistent with previous night. Sounds of climbing, breathing. Audio recorded. Visual investigation reveals no physical presence. Dawn was still 3 hours away. Marcus made more coffee. Knowing he wouldn't sleep, he sat at the desk and reviewed the audio file again. The breathing was the worst part. Too wet, too deep. Not animal, not human. At 0600, he made his scheduled radio call. Tower 7 checking in. Clear conditions, no smoke. Copy that, Tower 7. Everything okay up there? Marcus looked at the camera, at the logbook. Everything's fine, base. Just another quiet night. Good to hear. Check in at 1800. Roger. Tower 7 out. He spent day 3 searching the tower's history. The construction documents were in a folder in the desk. Tower 7 had been built in 1962. Operated continuously until 1964, when Ranger Thomas Whitmore died. Cause of death, fell from ladder during severe weather. The tower had been closed for 8 years after that, reopened in 1972. Since then, average Ranger tenure was 4 days. 4 days. Marcus had been here 2 nights. 2 more until he matched Davidson. He wasn't sure he'd make it that long. That afternoon, Marcus tried calling Briggs on the emergency channel. Static answered. He tried 3 more times over the next hour. Nothing but white noise and occasional fragments of voices that weren't hers. On the 5th attempt, he heard his own voice come back through the speaker, repeating his words with a 2-second delay. He shut off the radio and didn't try again. This story takes time to craft. If you're enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Night 3 brought a new pattern. Marcus woke at 2:45 a.m., 15 minutes early. He'd set 3 alarms. The camera was recording. His flashlight had fresh batteries. 2:55 a.m. He sat at the desk, positioned to see both the trap door and the camera screen. The wind died on schedule. 3 a.m. The first creak came from below. Marcus started his phone's voice recorder. 3 a.m. exactly. Sounds beginning. The climbing continued. He counted each rung aloud. 10, 15, 20. At 40 rungs, something changed. A second set of sounds joined the first. 2 climbers now, moving in perfect synchronization. Marcus forced himself to keep recording. 40 rungs, 2 distinct patterns now, both ascending. 50 rungs, 60. The breathing started earlier tonight. 2 sets of wet, labored breathing, overlapping but slightly out of phase. The chemical smell filled the cabin, so thick Marcus gagged. 70 rungs. The camera screen showed nothing unusual, but the sounds were undeniable. 80 rungs. They reached the platform together. The breathing intensified. The trapdoor rattled harder than before. Once, twice, 3 times. The latch held, but Marcus could see it straining. Then footsteps on the platform outside. Wet slapping sounds like bare feet on metal, circling the cabin. Marcus spun, tracking the movement. North side, east, south, west. The things were walking around the cabin, testing it. A handprint appeared on the window next to Marcus's face. He jerked back. The print was huge, fingers pressed against the glass from outside. But the platform was only 6 feet wide. Nothing could stand out there without falling. More prints appeared, every window. Multiple prints on each pane. Overlapping. The glass fogged where they touched, then cleared as they evaporated. Marcus backed into the center of the cabin, turning in circles. The footsteps stopped at the door. The handle turned slowly. Marcus had latched it, but the metal twisted anyway, screeching in protest. He grabbed the desk chair and wedged it under the handle. The turning stopped. Silence. Just the breathing, now coming from multiple directions at once. Marcus's radio crackled to life without him touching it. His own voice came through the speaker. "Tower 7 checking in. Everything's fine, base." But he hadn't said those words, not now. That was from yesterday's call. The radio cycled through more of his recorded check-ins, fragments playing out of sequence. His voice saying things he didn't remember. Day 5, all clear. Day 6, no issues. Day 7. Static cut it off. The breathing stopped. The handprints faded. The footsteps retreated. Then the descent began. Not 2 climbers anymore, but 5 or 6, maybe more, all climbing down together in a cascading rhythm of creaking metal. Marcus stood frozen until the sounds faded. His phone was still recording, the camera still running. Both devices showed the same thing, him alone in an empty cabin, backing away from nothing. He checked the windows. Every surface was dry, no residue, no fog. The logbook entry took him 20 minutes to write. His hands shook so badly the words were barely legible. Day 3, 0300 hours. Multiple auditory phenomena. Visual hallucinations possible. Sleep deprivation affecting perception. Dawn came slowly. Marcus didn't sleep. By day 4, Marcus had stopped pretending he was okay. He'd slept maybe 6 hours total in 3 days. His hands trembled constantly. Coffee tasted like metal. He tried calling for extraction at 0600. Base, this is Tower 7. Request early pickup. Personal emergency. Static answered. He tried again. More static, then fragments of voices that might have been Briggs but distorted. Base, if you can hear me, I need extraction. Acknowledge. His own voice came back through the speaker. Tower 7 checking in. All systems nominal. Marcus threw the radio against the wall. It bounced off and clattered to the floor, still transmitting static. He had 2 options. Wait 10 more days for his scheduled rotation, or hike out now. 18 miles through dense forest. 8 hours if he pushed hard. Marcus started packing. Essentials only. Water, first aid kit, energy bars. The logbook lay open on the desk. He should take it. Evidence. He reached for it and stopped. The entries for days 5, 6, and 7 were already filled in. His handwriting, but he hadn't written them. Day 5. Sounds intensifying. Multiple entities confirmed. Attempting communication. Day 6. It responded. I don't understand what it wants. Sleep impossible. Day 7. The knocking came from inside. I opened the door. I shouldn't have opened the door. Marcus backed away from the desk. Those entries didn't exist. Sleep deprivation caused this. He grabbed his phone and took photos, hands shaking. 3 photos, 4, 5, documenting his own descent. A noise from outside made him spin around. Scratching. Something scratching at the cabin door, in broad daylight. The phenomena had only happened at night before. The scratching continued, slow, deliberate, like nails on wood. Marcus grabbed his pack and flashlight. He'd leave now, hike out in daylight. He moved to the trap door and stopped. The scratching was coming from there too. Not the door, the trap door. Something underneath, scratching upward through the metal. Both sounds at once. Door and trap door, identical scratching from opposite sides of the cabin. Marcus closed his eyes and counted to 10. When he opened them, the sounds had stopped. Just wind, the tower creaking. He was losing his mind. Isolation-induced psychosis. It had happened to the other rangers. His phone buzzed. Impossible. No signal up here. But it buzzed again. A text message from Jennifer. Don't come down, it's already wearing you. Marcus stared at the screen. The message disappeared as he watched. He checked the message history. Nothing from Jennifer. Their last text was 4 months ago. The scratching started again. Louder. Coming from the walls, the floor, the ceiling, every surface at once. Marcus grabbed the radio. Base, this is Tower 7. Emergency extraction required. I'm not I can't. His voice cut off. Complete radio silence. Then a single word in Briggs's voice. Stay. The scratching stopped. Outside, afternoon sun lit the forest. Everything looked normal. Marcus walked to the window. His reflection stared back at him. Except the reflection's mouth was moving, saying words he couldn't hear. And its eyes were wrong. Too dark. He stepped back. The reflection didn't move. Marcus smashed the mirror with his flashlight. Glass exploded across the floor. His reflection shattered into fragments, each piece showing a different version of him. He swept the glass into a pile and covered it with a towel. The camera. Check the camera footage. Marcus pulled up the files from the past 3 nights. He watched himself standing alone, reacting to nothing, backing away from empty air. The visual showed an empty tower. The audio proved something was there. Marcus plugged headphones in and listened again. Underneath the climbing sounds were whispers, multiple voices speaking in rhythm with the footsteps. He couldn't make out the words. He tried playing it in reverse. The whispers resolved into a single phrase. Let us in, let us in, let us in. Marcus ripped the headphones off. The cabin felt smaller, the walls closer. He measured with his hands. 12 feet wall to wall, same as always. But it felt wrong. Night 4 was coming. 6 hours until sunset. 12 until 3 a.m. He couldn't do another night. He had to leave now, while he still knew what was real. Marcus shouldered his pack and opened the trapdoor. Sunlight streamed up from below. He could climb down, hike 18 miles, be done with Tower 7 forever. He put his boot on the first rung and stopped. The metal was wet, in direct sunlight. Marcus touched the moisture. It came away on his fingers, clear and slick. Not water, too viscous. The chemical smell rose from it. Every rung he could see was wet, all of them glistening. He pulled his boot back and slammed the trapdoor shut. The moisture on his fingers evaporated as he watched. Could he signal for help? Marcus grabbed his signal mirror and went to the south window. He could see for miles. Nothing but wilderness. He flashed the mirror anyway. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. SOS. Over and over. Probably nobody for 40 miles. After 20 minutes, his arm cramped. He lowered the mirror and looked at the forest below. Something moved down there. Something big, weaving between trees. Multiple somethings. He counted 5, 7, 10. All moving toward the tower's base. Marcus grabbed his binoculars. The shapes were too far to make out clearly, just dark movement against darker shadows. But they were coming. He checked his watch. 1,500 hours. 12 hours until 3 a.m. They'd never come during the day before. The pattern was changing. Marcus sat down with his back against the desk. From here he could see all 4 windows and both doors. His pack lay ready. Flashlight in one hand, knife in the other. The shapes reached the tower base. Marcus counted 15 of them. They circled the structure once, twice. Then they started climbing. All of them, all at once, in broad daylight. The metal framework groaned under the weight. The entire tower swayed. Marcus counted the climbers as they ascended. 15 distinct patterns of creaking metal, 15 sets of wet breathing getting closer. The tower swayed 6 inches left, then 6 inches right, the motion making his stomach lurch. He'd felt earthquakes that moved less. At 50 feet up, the sounds changed. Now they were scraping against the framework, metal on metal, like they were testing the structure's weak points. The solar panels outside went dark one by one as shadows passed over them. Marcus counted the climbers as they ascended. 15 distinct patterns of creaking metal, 15 sets of wet breathing getting closer. The tower swayed 6 inches left, then 6 inches right. At 50 feet up, the sounds changed. Now they were scraping against the framework, metal on metal. The solar panels outside went dark one by one as shadows passed over them. 70 feet. The cabin windows darkened as the climbers blocked the sun. Marcus could see shapes moving outside, pressed against the glass. Not quite human. Wrong proportions. Arms too long. 80 feet. The breathing surrounded him. The chemical smell was so strong his eyes watered and his throat closed up. 90 feet. Almost at the platform. Marcus stood and backed against the desk, knife raised. The trap door rattled. The cabin door shook. The windows flexed inward. Then they stopped climbing. Complete silence, except for the breathing. All 15 positioned around the cabin, waiting. Marcus turned in a slow circle, trying to watch every approach at once. The things didn't attack. They just waited. Marcus understood. They weren't trying to get in. They were keeping him from getting out, trapping him until 3 a.m. came. "What do you want?" His voice cracked. The breathing intensified, a sound that might have been laughter, wet and choking. Marcus checked his watch. 15:30 hours, 11 and a half hours until 3 a.m. One of them raised its hand and pressed it against the window. The handprint was the same as the ones on the ladder. Too big, too wet, wrong. More hands pressed against the windows. A dozen handprints, then 2 dozen, overlapping until the glass was covered and no light could get through. The cabin plunged into twilight. Marcus turned on his flashlight. The beam didn't reach the windows anymore. The darkness there was absolute. He could still see shapes moving behind it. His radio crackled. Not static. A voice. Multiple voices speaking in unison, using words he almost recognized but couldn't understand. They were trying to communicate. Marcus grabbed the radio. "I don't understand you. What do you want from me?" The voices stopped. Long silence. Then a single word in perfect English, spoken in his own voice. "Stay." "I can't stay," Marcus said. "I won't stay." The darkness at the windows rippled. The breathing changed pitch, becoming higher, more agitated. The tower swayed harder. They were angry. The handprints on the windows began to move, sliding down the glass, leaving wet trails, all moving in synchronized patterns, drawing something. Marcus stepped closer. They were drawing the tower, over and over. Tower 7 sketched in moisture on every window, and in each drawing, a figure stood at the top. Not climbing, not leaving, just standing there, part of the structure, permanent. That's what they wanted, for him to stay, to become part of Tower 7 like the ranger who fell in '64. Marcus grabbed the logbook and flipped to the front to 1962 when Tower 7 opened. Ranger Thomas Whitmore's handwriting was neat, professional, standard observations for 3 months. Then the entries changed. Hearing sounds at night, investigating. A week later, sounds continue, no explanation found. Another week, they want something from me. The final entry, dated October 7, 1964. "I understand now. The tower needs a keeper. Someone has to stay. I'll stay." The next day's entry was from a different ranger, reporting Whitmore's death. Fell from the ladder during a storm, but Marcus knew better. Whitmore hadn't fallen. He'd stayed. Marcus flipped through more logbooks. Every ranger who'd lasted more than a week showed the same pattern. Normal entries deteriorating into confusion, fear, then acceptance. Those who left early had run before reaching that stage. He was at the edge now. Day 4. 1 more day and he'd match Davidson. 3 more and he'd reach day 7. The shapes outside hadn't moved, still pressed against the windows. The sun was setting, real darkness replacing the artificial darkness they'd created. Marcus lit the kerosene lamp. Light helped. He pulled out the construction documents and studied the blueprints. In the margins, someone had written notes in pencil. Whitmore's handwriting. Foundation built on old growth. Trees here before the Ice Age. Something lived in them. Still lives. Tower disturbed it. Needs a host. More notes. Can't leave. Tried 3 times. Always come back. It's in my head now. The forest before humans. When it fed. Marcus's hands shook. The tower wasn't haunted. The forest was. Something ancient that the construction had disturbed. Something that used the tower as a doorway. And it needed people to maintain the connection. A sound from above made Marcus look up. Scratching on the roof. They were destroying his solar panels. By morning, he'd have no electricity. The radio crackled. Multiple voices overlapping. "Stay, stay, 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 stay." Ah, not his voice anymore. Whitmore's voice, and others. Chen, Davidson, all the rangers who'd been here before. Still here somehow. Marcus grabbed his emergency beacon from the wall. Press it and a helicopter would come. 72 hours maximum. He could activate it now, before Night 4 began. His thumb hovered over the button. The voices from the radio got louder. Stay with us, you belong here, stay. He pressed the button. The beacon activated, LED blinking red. Help was coming. The breathing outside turned into screaming. All 15 entities at once. The windows cracked. The tower swayed so hard Marcus fell to his knees. The screaming continued for 30 seconds. A minute, then stopped abruptly. Complete silence. The shapes at the windows were gone. The breathing stopped. Marcus checked each window. Empty. They'd left. Retreated back down the ladder. Going back to the forest. Marcus checked his watch. 1,800 hours. 9 hours until 3 a.m. The beacon was active. Help would come. He just had to survive until then. Maybe he'd won. Maybe activating the beacon had scared them off. The trap door opened. Just a crack. No sound. No warning. Something climbed through. Marcus scrambled backward, knife raised. The thing that emerged moved wrong. Joints bending at impossible angles. Limbs too long. It pulled itself up into the cabin in complete silence. Then it stood, and Marcus saw its face. His face. The thing wore him like a mask. His features stretched over something that wasn't quite the right shape. Eyes too far apart. Mouth that smiled too wide. Hello, Marcus. His own voice, but the cadence was off. What are you? Marcus kept the knife between them. I'm you. Better you. You without fear. Without the divorce that broke you. The thing stepped closer. Its feet made wet sounds, leaving prints that evaporated. I've been learning you for 4 days. Watching through the mirrors. Listening through the radio. You're not real. You're hallucination. I'm more real than you are now. It gestured at the cabin. You're barely here anymore, Marcus. Half asleep, half awake. By day 7, you'll be more there than here. And then you can stay forever. Marcus lunged with the knife. The blade passed through the thing like smoke. No resistance. You can't hurt me. I'm already inside you. Have been since night 1. We've been growing in your lungs, your blood, your brain. Marcus dropped the knife. What do you want? We want you to stay. The tower needs a keeper. Whitmore was supposed to last longer, but the fall damaged him. We need someone conscious, someone who can keep the doorway open. Doorway to what? The thing smiled wider. To before? When we walk this world freely, the tower foundation broke through to our lair. We need an anchor. Someone standing in both places at once. And if I refuse? You already refused. You pressed the beacon. The other him tilted its head at an impossible angle. So we'll take you anyway. Not as keeper, as fuel. We'll burn through you in days. Use you up and wait for the next ranger. Marcus's vision blurred. The cabin tilted. His legs wouldn't hold him. He slid down the wall to the floor. What did you do to me? The moisture on the ladder rungs. You touched it this morning. Wiped it on your pants. The thing crouched beside him. Fast-acting poison. Nothing fatal. Just makes you weak. Compliant. Marcus tried to stand. Couldn't. His muscles wouldn't respond. The helicopter won't come for 72 hours. You'll be ours long before then. The other him touched Marcus's face. Its fingers were cold. Wet. They left prints that burned. 3 a.m. is coming. Night 4. By dawn, you won't remember which one of us is real. The thing stood and walked to the trap door. I'll see you soon, when I'm wearing you from the inside out. It dropped through and was gone. The hatch closed. Marcus lay on the floor, staring at the ceiling. His body wouldn't move. His phone was in his pocket, but his arms wouldn't reach it. The camera still recorded. The poison spread through his system like fire. His vision tunneled. He counted his heartbeats. Too slow. Marcus forced his head to turn. 1,900 hours. 8 hours until 3 a.m. 8 hours until they came back and finished what they'd started. He focused on his breathing. In for 4 counts. Out for 4 counts. The ranger training from 12 years ago came back. Control what you can control. Breathing, heart rate, panic response. The poison was shutting down his voluntary muscles, but his lungs still worked. His heart still beat. He could think. That meant he could fight. Marcus's fingers twitched. Just barely, but they moved. The poison wasn't total paralysis. It was temporary. How temporary? He didn't know. But every minute that passed, he felt sensation returning to his extremities. Pins and needles in his toes. A burning ache in his calves. He focused on his breathing. In for 4 counts. Out for 4 counts. The ranger training came back. Control what you can control. The poison was shutting down his voluntary muscles, but his lungs still worked. He could think. That meant he could fight. Marcus's fingers twitched, just barely, but they moved. The poison wasn't total paralysis. Every minute that passed, he felt sensation returning. Pins and needles in his toes. A burning ache in his calves. He worked on his right hand first. Flex, release. The movements were tiny, but they were movements. His phone was in his right pocket, 6 inches away. He had 8 hours. 8 hours to move 6 inches. 20 minutes got his hand to his hip. Another 10 minutes and his fingers brushed his pocket edge. The trapdoor rattled. Marcus froze. No climbing sounds. Just the hatch moving. Testing. He forced himself to stay still. Playing dead. The rattling stopped. Marcus resumed his work. His fingers slipped into his pocket and closed around his phone. He pulled it out inch by inch. 200 hours. 7 hours until 3 a.m. The phone had no signal, but the camera app worked. Marcus positioned it against his chest. Lens pointed at his face. He hit record. My name is Marcus Kane, Ranger, Cascade Valley District. Day 4 at Tower 7. His voice was slurred. If you're watching this, I'm probably dead. There's something in this forest. Something old. It uses the tower as a doorway. It needs people to keep the doorway open. Rangers who stay too long get absorbed. He paused. The thing that looks like me? That's not me. If I walk out of here acting strange, don't believe it. Burn the tower. Don't send anyone else here. The phone battery showed 40%. Marcus saved the video and started a new audio recording in his pocket. By 2100 hours, Marcus could move his arms. He pulled himself to sitting, then standing. His legs wobbled but held. He checked his supplies. The emergency beacon still blinked red. Help was coming in 66 hours. The logbook lay open, showing those impossible entries for days 5, 6, and 7. Marcus grabbed a pen and wrote his own entry for day 4. Poisoned. Thing wearing my face came through trapdoor. Told me I'm infected. I don't know what's real anymore. But I'm still me. Right now, I'm still Marcus Kane, and I'm going to fight. He tore out the pre-written entries for the next 3 days and burned them in the kerosene lamp. Watched his supposed future turn to ash. The wind picked up. Marcus looked out the windows. The forest was alive with movement, shapes flowing between trees. More than 15 now. Dozens. All waiting for 3 a.m. Marcus checked his watch. 2200 hours, 5 hours. He spent those hours preparing. Barricaded the trap door with everything he could move. Desk, chair, supply cabinet, bed frame. Wedged the cabin door shut. Broke the remaining mirrors. Covered the windows with blankets. Then he armed himself. Knife in one hand, flashlight in the other. Emergency flare gun loaded and ready. 2:55 a.m. Marcus stood in the center of the cabin, surrounded by his fortress. His heart pounded. The camera recorded from his pocket. The wind died. Silence fell. Marcus counted down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 3 a.m. exactly. The climbing sound started, but different this time. Not rhythmic, chaotic. Dozens of entities ascending at once, scrambling over each other. The tower shook. The framework groaned. They hit the platform together. The structure tilted 3 degrees. The barricaded trap door rattled violently as weight slammed against it. Once, twice. The desk shifted. The door shook. The wedge stove held, but the metal was bending. Then the windows. All 4 at once. Fists pounding against glass. The blankets bulged inward with each strike. Glass cracked. Cold air rushed in. Marcus raised the flare gun. Stay back. I'll burn this whole tower down. The pounding stopped, just breathing from every direction. A voice came from outside. His voice. "You won't burn it, Marcus. That would kill you too. Rather die as myself than live as whatever you are." Laughter from multiple throats. "You're already us. You've been breathing our spores since night one. We're in your cells. Your blood. We're growing, Marcus." Marcus touched his face. His skin felt wrong. Too smooth. Too cold. He looked at his hands. The skin seemed translucent, veins too visible. No. Hallucination. He was still himself. The trapdoor barricade exploded upward. The desk flipped. The chair shattered. Something massive was forcing its way through. Marcus fired the flare. It shot across the cabin and hit the opening trapdoor. The chemical flare lodged in the gap, burning at 3,000 degrees. Screaming erupted from below. The thing retreated. The smell of burning flesh mixed with chemical stench. Marcus loaded another flare. "I've got 5 more of these. And when they run out, I light the kerosene." We all burned together. The door stopped shaking. The window impacts ceased. "You can't stay awake forever." His voice from outside, calm now. 4 nights without real sleep. You'll pass out soon. And when you do, we'll be here. We've waited 60 years. We can wait a few more hours. Marcus's vision blurred. The thing was right. He could barely stand. He'd collapse within the hour. He needed a different plan. Had to get out of this cabin and down that ladder. Run. Put distance between himself and Tower 7. Marcus grabbed his pack and shouldered it, kicked aside the burning flare, pulled the cabinet away from the trapdoor. The opening was clear. He looked down. The ladder was empty. They'd retreated. Marcus swung his legs through and started climbing down. His hands barely had strength to grip. His feet kept slipping. But he climbed, one rung at a time. At 50 feet, he heard them coming up. Multiple climbers ascending from below. Fast, Marcus climbed faster. His hands slipped. He caught himself. Kept going. 30 feet. 20. The climbers were close now. Marcus dropped. Just let go. 10 feet to the maintenance platform. He hit hard, rolled, felt something in his ankle give. Pain shot up his leg, but he kept moving. Found the emergency descent cable and slid. The cable tore through his palms. He squeezed harder, dropping 20 feet in seconds. Above him, the climbers reversed direction, coming after him. Marcus hit the ground. His ankle buckled. He rolled to his feet and ran into the forest, limping hard. Behind him, the climbers poured down the tower. The forest was absolute darkness. Marcus used his flashlight. The beam bounced as he ran. His ankle screamed. His lungs burned. The poison made every movement feel like swimming through concrete. He'd covered maybe a quarter mile when he heard them catching up. They moved faster in the dark. A root caught his ankle. He went down hard, the flashlight flying. It landed 10 feet away. In its light, Marcus saw them coming. Not human. Never were. The things wore rough approximations of human shape, but the details were wrong. Skin like wet bark. Limbs that bent too many ways. Faces that were just suggestions. Marcus scrambled for his flashlight and swung it like a club. It connected with the first one's head. The creature staggered back. More were coming, surrounding him. Marcus backed against a tree. "Stay back." They stopped, circled him at 10 feet. The one he'd hit spoke in his voice. "Where will you run, Marcus? 40 miles in every direction? You're injured, poisoned, lost, and we're everywhere." Marcus checked his compass. The needle spun wildly, unable to find north. "Even if you escape, we're inside you, growing. By tomorrow, you'll start forgetting who you are. By day 7, you'll walk back up that tower." "Then kill me now," Marcus said. The creatures looked at each other. Then they stepped back, opened a path, pointing deeper into the forest. "Run," they said in unison. "We'll give you until dawn. Then we hunt." It was a game, letting him exhaust himself, get more lost, more desperate. Marcus limped through the gap they'd made, kept his flashlight on them. They watched but didn't follow, not yet. He walked for an hour, maybe 2. His phone's GPS was useless. The compass still spun. Every direction looked the same. Dawn started breaking. Marcus found a hollow beneath a fallen log and crawled inside. He needed rest. Just an hour. He pulled out his phone. Still recording. Battery at 15%. Marcus whispered, "It's almost dawn, day 5. I'm maybe 2 miles from the tower. They're hunting me. Gave me until sunrise." He paused. "I think they're right about the infection. I can feel something changing. I keep forgetting why I'm running. Keep thinking maybe I should go back." He stopped the recording. That last part scared him most. That going back sounded reasonable. That giving up sounded like wisdom. Marcus woke to helicopter rotors. The sound was distant but unmistakable. He checked his watch. 900 hours. 39 hours since he'd activated the beacon. The helicopter was early, way too early. He crawled out from under the log and looked up through the canopy. Nothing visible yet, but the sound was getting closer, coming from the south. Marcus pulled out his signal mirror and caught a beam of sunlight, reflected it toward the sound. 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. SOS. The helicopter sound grew louder, then it stopped. Not fading away, just stopped. Complete silence. Marcus kept signaling anyway, kept flashing the mirror. Nothing. The forest was quiet again. After 5 minutes, Marcus lowered the mirror. His hands were shaking. The helicopter hadn't been real. Hallucination. Wishful thinking. Or worse, they'd sent it to him through the infection. Showing him what he wanted. Teaching him that hope was pointless. Marcus checked his phone. Battery at 8%. The recording was still running. He added a note. Heard helicopter. Wasn't real. Don't trust what you hear in this forest. Don't trust what you see. Hell, don't trust what you think. If this story meant something to you, drop a comment and share it. It helps the next person find their way here.